Okay, so let's move on to Gumball junit version 3. Before we go into the junit Java source code, let's take a look at a diagram. I'm using asta.uml here, and very simple state diagram of our gumball machine, the models of gumball machine's behavior. Um, we have two states, a no quarter state and a has quarter state, and two events, cranking and inserting a quarter. So let's kind of follow this. So we start with a no quarter state, and we turn crank. So we try to turn crank. We want a gumball. If there's no quarter, then there's going to be an error. So this is notated here with a action or an action that occurs within the gumball machine, and along with that transition, which transitions back to the no quarter state when the turn crank event occurs. So basically, I'm in a no quarter state. The kid tries to crank the machine, and then there's some kind of error message. If it's got a display of some sort, it will show an error message. If not, just nothing happens. If you insert a quarter from the state, definitely you would transition to the has quarter state. And from here, if you turn the crank, it will transition back to the no quarter state, and at the same time dispense the, actually it should be gumball. Let me fix that. If you're in the quarter state, the gumball machine only has a slot for one quarter. You try to insert another quarter, then that would be an error. So you stay in that same state, you transition back to the same state, but there might be an error message. Okay, so that's a very simple model, state diagram for our gumball machine code here. So let's take a look at how we would want to test for these exception scenarios. Looking at our interface, there's going to be some slight changes here. Notice that we added exceptions to these two events. So when you insert a quarter or crank, there might be an error, and we're going to throw a gumball exception error. And then there's our good old has gumball, and we added another one, which models the behavior of the kid actually removing the gumball out of the gumball machine, so taking the gumball. So has gumball just tells us there's a gumball in a slot, yes or no. Taking gumball is the action of removing that gumball out of that slot. Okay. So for our exceptions, we like to differentiate between. We would like to throw one of these two exceptions. Either we throw an exception that says there's no quarter, or we have another one that says has quarter. Okay, so where would we use this? If we look at, let's see what in the stub. So here's our stub code. So our stub code is, for example, when you insert a quarter, if there is a quarter in it, and we would throw a has quarter exception. Okay, if we crank, and there's a if there's no quarter in it, then we would throw a no quarter exception, and so on. And then we implemented the take gumball by setting the gumball slot value to false. Okay. Oh, and this is our original code that we had before, which doesn't really do anything with the exceptions at all. So I just added that signature in there, so it doesn't really do much. Let's look at our unit test. So we're going to run our test now with the stub one that we used to implement the exceptions. And now we want to test for those error conditions. So in this example here, the first one, test happy. Kid inserts a quarter, cranks, and check to see if there's a gumball, and if there's a gumball, it's great, that's a success, and we're done. However, if anywhere in here, either because of the insert or crank, there's an exception thrown, if the exception is thrown in Java, it would go to the catch block, and it's catching any kind of gumball exception. If you're in this block, then you're going to basically fail the test because you expected it to succeed and assert true for having a gumball. Okay, so on a test no quarter one here, we start out with a gumball stub, right? We start out and we crank. We didn't put a quarter in yet, and we assert that there's no gumball. Okay, everything's good. But if for some reason there's an exception thrown, if there's an exception thrown and there's no quarter exception, then that's fine. That's passed the test with an assert true. The test has passed. But if the exception is something else, is not this, then we would fail the test. All right. And similarly, we have something similar down here for test has quarter. So we can kind of run this test right now. Oops. And everything pass. Okay. There's a kid object here. With this kid object, let's look at the code real quick. We have a couple of methods, give quarters and buy gumball. So this is a test harness that models the behavior of a kid using the gumball machine. So I can just keep buying gumballs. So I can create a kid object and tell the kid, okay, go buy a gumball, and it will act out what the kid would do, right? So the kid, has some money, any quarters in his pocket, his or her pocket. If it has quarters, take one out, insert it into the machine, crank, and if the machine has a gumball in the slot, then take the gumball, and now the number of gumballs in the kid's pocket increases by 1. Otherwise, the kid says, I don't have any more money, and doesn't do anything. So eventually the kid will run out of money, and we might want to give it more quarters, so give the kid more quarters so that the kid can buy more gumballs. So let's test out this. Let's kind of run this test harness that's exercising the gumball machine here. We'll instantiate the kid with a gumball machine, and the gumball machine, and the kid starts out with not having any money at all, nor gumballs. So let's instantiate our gumball machine here with 5 gumballs, and we'll create a kid 1 with M1 gumball machine. Alright, so to kind of look at what's going on here, we'll show the terminal window over here. and let's tell the kid to buy some gumballs. Oh, the kid doesn't have any money. Okay, that's fine. Let's give the kid a quarter. Oops. How many quarters do you want to give the kids? Let's give the kid 4 quarters. And now the kid can buy a gumball. Alright, so the kid has a gumball. Buy another one. Buy another one. And we can take a look at, oh, the kid has currently 1 quarter left and 3 gumballs